Welcome to Healing Home. This is the channel where we explore topics of motherhood, homemaking, and I share some of our life here on our 40-acre homestead. This week is a little more laid back as we look into our lives as I share what our very imperfect spring 2025 garden looks like. We'll start out by chatting about homesteading imperfectly, and you'll get a peek into our chickens, ducks, geese, and pigs. We had a very warm start to our spring, and then we went backwards and it got very cold with frost and freezing rain. We lost our cucumbers and basil, plus a few other things look a bit bedraggled. So I'll be putting back many of our flower pots that we were storing in our barn and refreshing the garden. We'll also peek into the kitchen as I make an old recipe called an easy rhubarb cobbler, which uses sourdough discard. Our rhubarb has finally started to sprout and thrive, so I'm looking forward to a good harvest of that this year and making lots of rhubarb barbecue sauce. Finally, you'll get an overview of each of our garden areas. I wasn't going to put together an accompanying blog post this time around, but after seeing how many links I have, I decided it was worth it, so make sure to check out the accompanying blog post if you want access to all those links. Welcome to our healing home. I hope you are encouraged and inspired by your time here. Homesteading is beautiful, but it's not always picture perfect. In the spring of 2024, we welcomed our fourth baby boy. And just 1 year later, spring of 2025, our fifth little one arrived, another sweet boy added to our growing crew. That means we currently have 3 children 2 years and under. Let me tell you, that changes things. It's shifted our priorities. It's rearranged the tidy plans we once held for our garden beds and food preservation goals. We still dream of growing as much of our food as we can for health, for stewardship, for joy, but this year, we're doing it differently. We're homesteading imperfectly. There's a podcast I heard recently that offered a visual that I have not been able to shake. It said life is like a pie chart. You can fill it with whatever you want, but you still only get 100%. If you allot 30% to homeschooling, 40% to working, 10% to rest, 5% to date nights, well, eventually the pie runs out. Something has to give. This spring, that image has helped me breathe deeper and hold grace for our homesteading journey. Because if we're honest, not every season can hold every dream. And this one is full of babies, diapers, sleepy nights, and morning snuggles. And that is good. It's holy work. But it means our pie graph looks different this year. We're not raising 30 tomato plants like we did a few seasons ago. I'm not going to be canning sun up to sundown come August, and that's okay. We've planted fewer crops, chosen more perennials, and simplified our goals to match our capacity, not our ambition. Because there's wisdom in knowing our limits, there's peace in letting go of perfection and choosing what is manageable and meaningful.
Beautiful, Mom.
It's beautiful?
Yep.
The watermelon is beautiful?
Yep.
Oh boy.
A melon, beautiful.
Yeah, God makes a lot of beautiful things, doesn't he? Don't touch the knife. Imperfect homesteading doesn't mean failing. It means making intentional choices for the sake of sustainability of the land and of the growing family up on it. It means buying starter plants instead of seed starting trays that never made it out of the closet. It means saying no to raising new animals this year and saying yes to picnics in the front yard with toddlers who think dandelions are treasures. And yes, we did still buy new animals, but we didn't expand the type of animals this year. It means planting what we know we'll actually eat, even if it's not what the treading reels suggest. It means trusting that God doesn't call us to everything and every season. There are rhythms in nature for a reason. Seasons of planting, seasons of rest, and even seasons where the ground lights fallow. And sometimes we're the soil that needs rest. So to the mama who longs to homestead but feels overwhelmed by her own pie chart, you're not alone. You don't need to grow everything to grow something that matters. Tend what you can, do it with joy, not guilt. Let your hands be full, even if your garden isn't. Because the heart of homesteading isn't perfection, it's provision, intention, and love. And friend, that's enough. Today's video is brought to you by Papa Bear Naturals. Papa Bear is one of my new favorite companies. They provide skincare that is organic, non-toxic. The company is family owned. It's made in the United States. There's no silicone, no plastic, no synthetic ingredients, no parabens, no artificial fragrances, and no chemicals. I was specifically grateful to get my hands on their sunscreen, which uses a non-nano zinc oxide to help protect my little one's skin from the sun. Although we have the perspective that sun can be great for us, I also have blue-eyed, blonde-haired, fair-skinned children that love to be outside all day, and I don't want them to get blisters from sunburns, which unfortunately has happened before. Papa Bear Natural Sunscreen was and is the perfect solution to keep my kids safe and sunburn-free. The sunscreen uses ingredients that you will know how to pronounce and are recognizable, like grass-fed tallow, beeswax, and cacao powder, which makes it smell just a little like chocolate. You can use my link for 10% off your first order. It's the end of May and our rhubarb is finally ready to harvest. I know of many people in Minnesota who've been harvesting rhubarb for a few weeks now, but our little microclimate tends to push off production a little bit because of the wind and cooler temperatures. I'm excited to harvest rhubarb for recipes and put together some rhubarb barbecue sauce from Melissa K. Norris's preservation recipe book, which we love pouring over chicken for an easy meal during the winter. This sourdough discard recipe is a very easy recipe, and it's honestly a delicious way to use rhubarb and discard at the same time. For the recipe, you'll need chopped rhubarb, sourdough discard, fresh or frozen blueberries, gentle sweet or whatever sweetener you want, oats, butter at room temperature, cinnamon, cloves, and mineral salt. It's a very easy recipe to whip together. There's not many complicated instructions. You can find the entire recipe and instructions at healinghomerecipes.co. Are you ready to take on our spring homestead tour? Here are our garden areas plus a little bit about what we're planting this year. Let's start at our kitchen garden. This is the heart of our raised bed setup, the place closest to the house and easiest to monitor in between diaper changes and toddler wrangling. This year we're growing broccoli, peppers, tomatoes, radishes, cucumbers, and beans, plus a few extras for fresh summer meals. I didn't get to do any seed starts this year, like I already said, which is something I intentionally chose because of the coming baby. So we've been slowly buying starts from garden centers. It's certainly not the cheapest garden we've ever done, but it's worth not having the extra stress of nurturing garden plants while preparing to have a baby. We have a lot of basic varieties like purple beauty peppers, lady bell peppers, and roque d'or yellow beans, just to name a few. We've really enjoyed having lacto fermented peppers around, which I have a recipe for, so I'll link that up. So we planted the most peppers we've grown yet. The nice thing about lacto fermented peppers is that you can use any variety and the flavor changes accordingly. Plus, you can still use them for lots of different recipes, including soups. To the left of our kitchen area is our tomato area. We have fencing to support the tomatoes, which works great as long as we remember to use string to support the tomato vines as they spread. The fence works a lot better than cages, but we have to catch the growth at just the right time, otherwise we end up with a mess of tomatoes on the ground. A couple years ago, I realized that our kitchen garden was not the place for me to grow my lettuce because it gets very hot and inevitably will bolt and die way too soon in the season. So I've moved my lettuce production to a little raised garden cart on our porch, which works great for harvest. With 3 littles 2 years and under, we've kept things practical but purposeful in this garden area. Our raised beds are a mix of metal and wood, including some treated lumber we now regret, which I talked about in last year's spring garden update. And while we'd love to upgrade everything, for now we're working with what we've got and choosing peace over perfection in this area. Moving on to our herb gardens. In last year's 2024 spring garden update, which I'll link above if you're interested, I talked about how I hope to get one more year out of my raised herb garden, and even with the sides falling apart, I'm still hoping to get one more year out of this cedar board structure. Maybe next year we can snag another metal raised garden bed, which I really like the durability of. I've used herb gardens for a variety of purposes over the years, including drying herbs for teas and seasonings, but I really came to a place where I like to use herbs for tinctures. If you've never made tinctures, they're a lot easier than you originally think, and I think they're really versatile. In this year's garden, I have sage, chamomile, thyme, and spearmint. Plus, I took one of our containers by the porch and added herbs for the kitchen to use, such as basil, oregano, and parsley. Our pumpkin garden is behind our kitchen garden. We've had big dreams for this area and big challenges with the soil. Last year we planted about 30 pumpkin plants and harvested exactly 0 pumpkins, like literally 0. The soil was hard and unforgiving. This spring, Danny has worked tirelessly, moving dirt from other parts of the property to soften and enrich the soil. We're hoping this gives us a fighting chance this season. It's still a work in progress, but it's progress, and that counts in our book. We've also put decorating gourds and cute baby pumpkins in our preservation garden, which is a great lead into that garden. But before I go there, I want to mention that we have done soil testing with Redmond, which if you've never done soil testing, I highly recommend it. I haven't done it this year, but I did it last year, and it gave us a great idea of what we need to do to amend our soil for optimum production. Also, all of the wood chips that you see we got for free using chip drop. So if you're looking for wood chips, that is another great resource that arborists will just bring wood chips to your house. There are some rules with it, but it's a great resource if you're looking for free wood chips. Okay, so this is our preservation garden, or our storage garden. I don't think I have a really great name for it yet. Tucked behind our pine trees, this garden has become one of our favorite places to work. The breeze, the rustling pine needles, the peace of it all is a gift. This year we're planting onions, potatoes, squash, little pumpkins, and gourds. These are the crops we hope to preserve and store for winter, helping feed our ever-growing family. I've learned, sometimes the hard way, which onion varieties store well and which don't. Although we love purple onions, they don't usually store well. The same goes for potatoes. Although purple potatoes are much healthier, they don't tend to store well. So we tend to use those on special occasions and grow very basic preservation onions and potatoes like Kenbeck and Yankton Gold. Every year brings more wisdom and grace, even the small things like learning what type of potatoes store best. It's looking a little messy right now, but I just finished planting the arches in this preservation garden, or storage garden, or main crop garden, or whatever we decide to call this. We have not came up with a good name for it. So we have my favorite kind of squash, which is spaghetti squash, right here, and we've done vertical squash in arches before. It works great. Then we have yellow summer squash, and then like the zucchini summer squash. And then over by Little William, we have butternut squash. And way down here, I have not done this before, but I've heard it works. We have vertical cantaloupe. So I'm not holding my breath for that one, but we've got it planted. We'll see what happens if we get vertical cantaloupe. Sprinkled throughout our homestead are flower beds, container gardens, and kitchen porch pots. I'm especially loving the lettuce and arugula that I started indoors on that cart that I talked about, and now just keep outside the kitchen door. It's been harvested often and is thriving. The lilacs bloom in late May and fill the air with their sweet scent. And while the flower gardens are still far from what I envision, they're slowly growing just like us. We'll maybe get our big garden in the front portion of our home later this year, which is going to be like a rose garden or some sort of perennial garden, but I'm not totally holding my breath for that actually happening. I should also mention all the trees that have been blooming this year. We have a few apple trees that are starting to produce more each year, and about 10 plum trees, and a faithful cherry tree that produces an abundance of tart cherries each July. So that's the scoop on our wildly imperfect, joyfully chaotic, and beautifully simple spring garden of 2025. Maybe it's not picture perfect, and maybe a few frostbitten cucumbers had to sacrifice themselves for the cause, but this little plot of land continues to grow good things, and honestly, so do we. Whether your garden is overflowing or barely planted, whether your days are full of blooms or mostly just muddy boots and baby snuggles, I hope you feel encouraged to keep going, to plant something, to water what matters, to find beauty not just in the harvest but in the trying. Thanks for stopping by our healing home, where the ducks are loud, the toddlers are louder, and the rhubarb is finally ready. Until next time, may your gardens grow, your coffee stay hot, and your hearts be reminded that you don't have to do it all. You just have to do the next right thing. Happy homesteading, friends.